Good afternoon, class. This is quite a different modality to be with you today, but I'm excited about having the video capability of talking to you about your academic journey. And we know that this is such an important topic in your development, in your career. And so we're being creative today, and I look forward to having just a conversation with you about our topic number 2, and that is tips for you to find the job that you will love. And that's what we want to focus on today. So I'm Charles Lang, and I have the privilege of working with you, and we are excited again about being together so that we can talk about finding the work that will be passionate for you and really fulfill your mission in life. I want to review just with you some of the information that we went over in session 1. And some of you may not have been in that session, but on that session number 1, we talked about tips on staying on track and staying in school. And I'm eagerly believing that you've done that, and you're in school and staying on track with your career development. And you know, one of the first things we talked about was remaining true to your why. Your why is your life's calling, your passion, the things that really that you know inside you is your mission, your purpose. And when you can keep that why in front of you and in you as you make decisions about your career, you're more apt to find a work and find a career that's going to be very motivating for you. I want to challenge you to continue to be positive with yourself, build a positive network of people that will support you as you stay in school and as you begin to look for that job. Attitude. We talked about attitude and how important a positive attitude is. And you remember we did that ATTITUDE. We spelled the word out. And if you put the letter, put the number of the letter that appears in the alphabet, it adds up to 100%. So attitude definitely is 100% of your success. And when you go out and start looking for a job, your attitude is going to come out real quickly. So we want you to always be in touch. And remember, you control and you own your attitude. I hope that you're setting some goals for yourself. And we talked about these goals should be SMART. They should be specific. They should be measurable. They should be applicable to you where you are in life. They should be something that you can attain. And your goal should be something that you track all along, that you're tracking your progress with these goals. Practice positive affirmations and self-talk. We know that sometimes we can hear the negativity in the world and in our community and in our school, and more importantly, we hear negative talk inside of us. And so I want to challenge you to use positive self-affirmations and really build your confidence up with the messages that you give yourself. I want you to celebrate the successes of where you are today and anticipate the great things that's going to come your way as you move towards your career development. So that was session 1, staying on track and staying in school, remaining focused, remaining positive, keeping yourself in your plan of action, and achieving the academic requirements that you need to go into step number 2, finding a job that you will love. In fact, you know, I'm not so sure I like the word job. It is work. You know, we want a job, we want to work, but I'd like to replace that with you today with a different feel, and that is, I want you to find a career, a passion, an area that really will fulfill you as a person. And you all know what that is for yourself. I want you to think about when you go out into the workplace and begin looking at job opportunities, that you look for a career, something that's going to be right for you, an excellent fit for who you are and the strengths that you have. So question for you, what are you passionate about? What makes you excited? If you're off in a workplace and you've worked all day long and you come home, what's going to help you continue to feel that you made a difference? You know, those are good questions to start thinking about the type of work, the type of career that is right for you. You know, many people get a job, and a lot of them stay on the job for a short period of time because I've heard people say to me, it's just not what I want to do. And I know it's important for us to find work and get involved in the workplace, but I hope that in this step number 2, I said finding a job, finding a work environment, a career that you will love. And when you find that, it will make a 100% difference in your attitude and in your fulfillment. And that's what I would like to help you think through today. The first piece that I think is important in finding a career work that's going to be motivating for you is really understanding what your strengths are, your skills are, your experiences. And I would invite you to write those down. I think sometimes we have them up here in our mind, but write down, these are my strengths, because later you can use those in the interview process. But what are the strengths that you bring to the work environment that you're going to be pursuing? And sometimes we don't know those right offhand, and we maybe even stumble when we're asked that question. But be in touch with yourself. What do you do well? What are the strong points that you bring to work? What is it about your character or your actual skills that's going to be beneficial to an employer? So think about the strengths that you bring and how those will help you build a career that's going to be important to you. When you begin looking at career opportunities, jobs, work itself, the first thing that I would like for you to do is, of course, is to get information about the company, about the nature of the work that you're going to be doing. And most employers will give you a job description, an application that you can study and research in terms of looking at, is this something I want to pursue? But I want to make a point right here. You always want to make the right impression. And that begins the day you go into the company and you ask for an application. Because the person giving you the application may be later the person that makes a decision about you. So here's the point, right to it. Be dressed, professional in terms of your presence. I've had people come in and ask for applications in shorts and flip-flops. That makes an impression. I want you to make the right impression from the time you go into the company, even just to get information about the company, the application. You don't know who is watching you, who you are meeting. So the interview and the selection process could be starting right at that point. And I want to really reiterate that. That's so important. I know it takes a little pain to get cleaned up, maybe put on a nice shirt, a nice dress, or a pantsuit or whatever. Make your first impression when you walk into that company with a smile, with an attitude, and say good evening or good afternoon. I understand you have a job available. I would like to talk to you about the process of applying, and be very positive, be very assertive, and go after that job at that point. If this is something you want, go after it. Be prepared. So that's the first point. Inventory your strengths, get the job description, match yourself up to that, and then make entry into the organization to get the information you need to make a formal application. Another, I think, idea for finding a career that you will love is investigate the organization, the company, the business. Google them. Find out all you can about them. Find out about their work ethic. Find out about their employers. Go onto their website if they have one. The more you know about them, the better you can position yourself to get the right job. So investigate, even if you have contacts in that company. It would be fine to say, John, I understand you've worked here for 20 years or 10 years. Tell me about what is it like to work with this organization. So do some investigating on your own about your potential employer. The more you are informed about them, and the more that you can share that knowledge, even in an interview, the more impressive you're going to be. I want you to also then, from looking at your strengths, finding out about the company, investigating the company, I want you to think about then developing a job resume or work profile that's going to fit that company. Now here's an important point. The dynamic resume that you develop for one company may be different for another company. It may have some of the same strengths and characteristics and education, and work history. But you want to tailor your resume, your work history, attractively to that company. So you want to play to what they're looking for. I hope that makes good sense for you. I think a generic resume is okay, but the stronger you can build that resume, the better off you will be in terms of presenting yourself for potential employment. Now, the school has a career development center, and I know there's experts in that center that can walk you through developing that resume. It needs to be simple. It needs to be to the point. In fact, I've got some ideas here for you. Here's some recommended content for your resume. Now, if you want to be taking notes through this video presentation, please do. And we're going to also send you a copy of the handout that I'm speaking from today. But of course, it's going to have your name, address, and contact information. You need to have a clearly stated career goal or work objective. You know, what is your goal? What is your career objective that you want to achieve? A summary of your work history. And that needs just to be very, bulleted and very cleanly presented, but a summary of your work history, your educational accomplishments, and any technical certifications that you've achieved. And I think a very important area of your resume is technical skills, strengths, and abilities. And don't be shy here. Tell them what you're good at. Tell them what your abilities are, what your strengths are. And I want you to think through those and articulate them very clearly, because you want to sell. That's what you're doing on this resume. You're selling yourself, and be proud of all that you've done and the strengths that you bring. And then maybe a summary of your accomplishments and achievements. Maybe you were student of the quarter, or you achieved certain standards, or you were recognized for academic excellence. Again, share your achievements and your accomplishments. References. Your references should be two different types. One, personal character. Someone that can speak about your personal ethics, your value, what you stand for as a person, someone that knows you. And then secondly, you need a professional reference. And the professional reference needs to really have concrete information about your work performance, your work abilities. So you want to, I think, include a personal reference, one or two, and a professional reference, one or two. Before you list people on your resume, you need to get their permission to do that. And sit down with them and let them know that you're in the job search process and that you would like to have the opportunity to include them as references. And if you have your resume at that time completed, I would give my references just a copy of my resume, so that if they get a call from the company, they'll have a good profile sheet about you as well. So this is just some recommended content for your resume. Keep it simple, keep it to the point, and make sure that it reflects the true, honest you, so that you can go in and make the final part of the sale of hiring you in employment. So name, address, content, career goals, work objectives, work history, educational and technical certifications and accomplishments, your skills, abilities, and strengths, accomplishments, your achievements, and your references, both personal and professional. So this is a very important part of the process of beginning to look and seek for the right career for yourself. Now, preparing for the interview. Let's say you've done all these first things that we've outlined today, and you've been successful, and you get that exciting phone call. Susan, can you come in next week? We'd like to interview you in our cosmetology department. Well, how exciting that will be when you do get that opportunity to walk in and really then sit down with the opportunity to hopefully get that job, get that career started for yourself. So interviewing. It's very important that you begin thinking and preparing for the interview process. Now, you can Google job interviews. There's so much information out there, and I'm just going to give you a few tidbits of information that I think are really crucial. But do some reading about job interviews. Most job interviews today look at performance behaviors, things that you have done. They will ask questions like, tell me about a time you did this, or tell me about an opportunity where you had to deal with an angry customer. So what they try to do, they look at your behaviors of how you have performed in other work or in life with people. I want you to think about making that job interview really personal and have some stories or testimonies ready that you can share. So prepare yourself, and also I want you to prepare questions for them. The interview is a two-way process. They are interviewing you, but you are also interviewing them. You want to make sure it's the right company, not just the job. You want to feel good about going to work for this employer and being a part of the work environment and being a part of what they do. The mission of that company hopefully is going to match the mission that you want in a career. Think about these questions and how you might answer them in an interview setting. Let's say I'm interviewing you right now, and I say, okay, Steve, what are your weaknesses? Well, you may get that question. Here's the way I would like for you to think about answering it. Well, you know, Mr. Lane, that's an interesting question. I definitely have areas that I need to improve and grow in, and I'd like to share those with you. Did you see what I did not do? I did not repeat the word weaknesses. I want people to know I have areas of work and life and experiences that I can be better in. But try to refrain from thinking about a weakness, because a weakness, you live down to it. So if you're asked, what are your weaknesses? Say, well, that's an interesting question. There are certain areas of work that I want to be better in. You know, I want to improve my computer skills. I have, I think, a good foundation, but technically I like to improve and expand my computer capacity and abilities. Do you see? I'm not saying I'm weak, but I'm saying these are areas I want to grow in. So it's how you take that question and try to really turn it into a positive discussion. Here's another one. Well, why should I hire you? Well, interesting question, isn't it? Be prepared for it. And when someone said, well, why should I hire you? You want to be able to articulate what will you bring to this company? How will you make a difference in the life of that company, in the organization that you're going to work with? How will you enhance their work performance? So I want you to think about that question. Why should we hire you? You should hire me because A, I feel that I am an excellent candidate based on your job description. I feel that my strengths match what you're looking for. My work ethic is such that I think I will be a positive resource in your organization. So be prepared for why should I hire you, or why should we hire you, and be ready for your answer. Another question, why do you want to work here? Well, hopefully you've done research on that company. And this is where the research on the company can help you answer that question. You know, I would like to be a part of this construction company because A, you're highly respected in the community. I have witnessed the work that you've done. In fact, I went on and saw that last year alone you had over $1.9 million worth of projects. That's exciting for me, and I'd like to be a part of that. And I think being a part of your workforce would be a privilege, and I know that I can bring my skills and strengths into play. So I appreciate the work you're doing, and I would be happy to be affiliated with your program here. So be ready to answer that question. What are your goals? That's an often asked question. Be ready for it. My goals are to secure work in this area within the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years. I would like to be in this area. You know, in the next 6 years, I'd like to be maybe in management. Be ready to articulate what your goals are with some timelines. That will give them the impression that you are focused and you know where you're headed. So that's a very important question to be prepared for. What are your goals? Why did you leave your last job? Well, let's say you didn't have a last job. Let's say you just graduated. Then just explain that. Well, this will be my first opportunity to have full-time work. But I've had part-time jobs, and some of the reasons why I left those is A, to continue my schooling, or I got married and moved out of the community for a while. Be honest here. But now, if there's something negative in your background there, be cautious about how you share that. You don't want to say, well, I got fired. But if let's say you left a job. If you left a job, you may just reference, my last job, I made a decision to move into a different position with another company, or, I wanted a newer challenge or a better opportunity to grow. You want to remain positive, but also be honest. When are you the most satisfied at work? Now, here they're asking you about your job satisfaction. So, you think about, when am I the most satisfied at work? When I'm working with my customers. When I'm working as a team member with other people in the company. When I am doing work that I love. When I've got my hands on the work that I enjoy and I love, that's when I'm the happiest. That's when I'm the most fulfilled. When I feel like I've done a great day's work and I made a difference in people's lives, or I made a difference in the people that we serve. So whatever the nature of your job is, think about what brings satisfaction to you and be able to articulate that. When are you the most satisfied at work? What makes you the right candidate for this job? I got 3 other people over here I'm considering. This is where you got to hit it straightforward. I feel that my work ethic, my commitment, my passion for this work, I feel like my educational background is solid, and I'm a person of honesty and integrity and dependability. That's what makes me a great candidate for you to consider. So don't be shy or hesitant. I'm not saying to be, overwhelmingly arrogant, but sell yourself. Sell yourself to your potential employer. What makes you right for this company? Do your research, match up your skills, and be ready to tell them about why you are a good fit for that company. What salary are you seeking? Now, money is important. And I know we work because we want to make a good living. And I think if you have a salary range, then you can share that. But be reasonable, be feasible about it, and do some research here. You need to have some response to that. What salary are you seeking? And again, if you've gone back and done some research about the company, you may have some idea about their starting pay and their fringe benefits and their program that they offer. So be prepared for that question as well. But be in the ballpark. The main thing you want to do right now is get in the door, prove yourself, and have a great career beginning with them. Now, those questions were the employer asking you. I want you to think for a few moments. What are some questions you would want to ask them? That's important. The interview works 2 ways. You might want to say, how do you see your company growing? How do you provide learning for your employees? How do you celebrate success in your company? Ask them questions that are going to be meaningful to you in your selection. You want to make sure they're the right company for you as well. So I want you to jot down those questions and have them ready in the interview process. Remember, when you go into that interview, you want to be ready. You want to have your information. You want to have it neatly presented. You want to be well presented yourself. Be ready to ask them questions about their company, their operation, their future, the types of expansions that they may anticipate, how they see their company changing, How will they provide you with continuing education, or will they? How will they provide you with opportunities for promotions? You want to ask those good questions about their capacity as an employer. Now, let's say you had the interview and you've sealed it with a good handshake, and hopefully at that time you're out there, you can shake hands, I hope. And you leave and you go home and you take a deep breath and you think about this company experience that you have. I want you then to listen, some quiet time, and listen to your gut and inner voice. How did it feel? Did it feel like it was a good fit? Are the expectations in this company, are they a good fit for you and your family and your lifestyle? If you know you got a young baby at home and they want you to work night shift, you got to think about that. You got to think about all those kind of ramifications of work. You know, is it a good fit for you? Is it a good fit for the home, for your family? Because all those things impact your ability to remain on the job and to be motivated. So think about, how did I feel about this? Did I feel good? And did it feel like it was really a good fit? Listen to your inner voice. One important final comment, really, I guess, is I want you to be honest with yourself and always be honest with your potential employer. You want to build trust from the start. And the way that you do that is with open and honesty about who you are, what you bring, what you will give, and how you will nurture in that environment. That's so important. Practice positive affirmations. Believe in yourself and really have confidence in yourself. Going in and finding a career that you will love, these are some just really important tips. And I hope that today's conversation and your notes and the handout that you'll have will help you prepare. So remember, start with your why, know what you're passionate about, match your skills, inventory your strengths, get the job description, the application, make the right impression from the first time you enter the door. Develop that work profile or that resume. Get help with that in your Career Center. Include the things that I've reviewed with you today. Make it clean, make it crisp, but make it sell yourself. It needs just to be on white typed paper, and you don't need to put borders or graphics. Make it professional. Prepare for the interview. Research the company. Write your questions that you want to ask them. Be prepared to answer these kinds of examples of questions that I reviewed with you today. And have some notes with you. It's perfectly fine for you to go in with something that you put in front of you. Be prepared, and that will show the interviewer that you're prepared. You've given some thought about the opportunity to have this interview. So go through those questions and make notes of how you will answer them. Come up with your questions for your potential employer. Listen to your inner voice. Be honest. Be upfront. Demonstrate high ethics in this process of finding a work, and be positive. That attitude is going to be so important. And when you walk in, you make good eye contact, shake the hand, demonstrate your confidence and your ability to be an asset to that company, to that organization. I hope that our discussion today has been meaningful for you. It's just been a conversation, truthfully. That's what I wanted it to be, not a lecture. But I think in the first session, I gave you my email, and I'd like to give it to you. It's Charles Lang, L-A-N-G, number 3, at yahoo.com. If you want to write me or seek clarification about any of the points that I've made today, please do. Please use me as a resource. Hey, I would even be willing to look at your resume if you'd like me to. You can send me a copy, and I'll give you open and honest feedback about it. But you've got experts right here at the school that can help you with that part of the job application process. So believe in yourself, know who you are, be in touch with the strengths and the abilities that you bring, stay focused on your career, And I know that you are going to be very successful, and I can't wait to see you face to face. I'm hoping that our last session, that's going to be on tips for keeping the job. After you get the job, how do you keep the job? That's important, isn't it? So I hope that we can do that session face to face. I wish you the best. This is very challenging times for all of us. This pandemic has put us all into a different world of interaction and learning. But I want to encourage you to stay focused, stay connected to your purpose, your why, your school, and your career. And with that, I offer you the best. Thanks for having me here today.